Hello YouTube, Mike Kohanam here. As you may know, Gladiator Beasts are probably my favorite deck of all time. I used them to get to the World Championship in 2009, so it should be no surprise that I've also been using them in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. I was blown away by the response I received on my Master Duel Gladiator Beast video, and I saw that there's a lot of Gladiator Beast fans out there. So today I'm just going to talk about the deck I use in Duel Links, which is a Gladiator Beast deck. I use this deck to reach Stage 2 and Duel Level Max of the Kaiba Corporation Cup this past weekend. This past weekend, or still ongoing, so this current weekend. I've used this deck many times to achieve King of Games, so it is definitely capable of competing with the best decks out there in PvP dueling. If you don't know Duel Links very well, or you're not familiar with Duel Links, but you're curious about how a Gladiator Beast deck works in Duel Links and what cards they have and don't have, then this video is for you. So first, I'm just going to go through the cards in the deck I'm using and why those cards are there, and then I will show some of the replays from the Kaiba Cup that I was playing in as recently as today. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will create more content. The first thing that you might notice about this deck is that it's actually very, very thin on Gladiator Beasts, even though this is a dedicated Gladiator Beast deck. There are only 3 different Gladiator Beasts in this deck. Gladiator Beast Bestiari, Gladiator Beast Andal, and Gladiator Beast Vespasius. Which is kind of strange if you've played the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game or been playing Master Duel, because Vespasius is really not that common, because in Master Duel you're really trying to spam Tamer Editor, which Augustus is better at summoning, or in the old trading card game you would be using Gladiator Beast Heraclinos, which would necessitate using Gladiator Beast Laquari, and you'd of course be using Bestiari to spam Gyzarus, but Andal was out of the picture in the old days. So this deck is kind of a mix between what you would expect to use in Master Duel, what you would play in the TCG, and a little bit of adjustment to accommodate the rules of Duel Links. First off, several cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game and on Master Duel are not in Duel Links, including Gladiator Beast Comeback and Gladiator Beast Tamer Editor. So right off the bat, those are not options. So unlike your Master Duel deck, this deck is not going to be a Tamer Editor spam deck. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can check out my Gladiator Beast Master Duel video, which I posted a little over a week ago. This deck plays a little bit more like the old Gladiator Beast decks in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game back when they were reigning as the top deck, in that it does summon Gyzarus a lot and leans on Gyzarus to win. However, unlike those decks, it uses the more recently released Gladiator Beast Domitianus to lock up your opponent's plays and secure the win. So that's why I say it's kind of like a mix. This deck can make a lot of cool plays. But it really leans heavily on Gladiator Beast Gyzarus and the ease with which it can summon Gyzarus. So the first thing to note is that the deck plays 3 copies of Rescue Rabbit. So Rescue Rabbit will summon 2 Andals at a time, but with Gladiator Rejection, you'll also get to special summon another Gladiator Beast from your deck, which is either Vespasius or Bestiari, because those are the only 2 you play. If you take Bestiari, you can summon Gladiator Beast Gyzarus, use it to destroy 2 cards, and then direct attacks from Andal and Gyzarus will wipe out all 4,000 of your opponent's life points. If you take Vespasius, you can fuse it with the 2 copies of Andal to make Domitianus, which is your ideal first turn play if you have the misfortune of having to go first. In Duel Links, you only start with 4,000 life points, which makes the Gyzarus play, especially when it's summoned alongside another monster, extremely powerful. there's another major distinction between Duel Links and traditional Yu-Gi-Oh or Master Duel is that there's no main phase 2. And without main phase 2, a lot of the Gladiator Beasts that you're used to using, like Gladiator Beast Darius and Gladiator Beast Aquest, are just not as good. You can special summon a monster from the graveyard with Darius, but then you can't use it in an Xyz or a Fusion Summon until your next turn, and you don't even know if you'll make it to a next turn. The same for a quest. You can use a quest to bring Gladiator Beast War Chariot back to your hand with its effect after you tag it in, but you don't know that you're going to have an opportunity to set it before your opponent beats you. Duel Links is really fast-paced. Games are quick, so you want to win quickly, which is why I don't think Darius or a quest make the cut in the deck. Some of the trap cards are okay for Gladiator Beast, like Gladiator Beast Charge and Gladiator Beast War Chariot. But in my opinion, those don't make the cut either, simply because Treacherous Trap Hole is better. And Treacherous Trap Hole can only be activated if you have no trap cards in your graveyard, so I choose to use Treacherous Trap Hole instead as sort of a powerhouse trap card, while I use the rest of the deck to set up my Gyzarus plays. You'll see the defensive Book of Moon here as well. Book of Moon is just a solid card for disrupting your opponent's plays. If you could put a problematic monster face down, it'll be an easy target to destroy with Gyzarus. So from there, let's talk about all of the ways this deck summons Gyzarus. As I mentioned before, you can use Rejection with Rescue Rabbit to summon Gyzarus and Andal, or Domitianus, which will usually end the game. The Gyzarus plus Andal play is more than enough damage while destroying 2 cards. However, you can also use Gladiator Rejection with Unexpected Dai. Unexpected Dai lets you special summon an Andal from your deck, and then Rejection will then let you special summon a Gladiator of a different type, which in this scenario is often the Bestiari, so you can make Gyzarus. All of that is done without using a normal summon. So if you can still normal summon an Andal, or a Rescue Rabbit or a Bestiari, because you could fuse 2 Bestiaries together, then summon you can Unexpected Dai out the Andal, special summon a Bestiari with Rejection, then set or summon Bestiari to fuse the 2 Bestiaries for Gyzarus. You'll usually win the game right then and there. Gladiator in Duel Links, Gladiator Rejection's protection of your Gladiator Beasts is also phenomenal. If you do this play with Rejection face up and Unexpected Dai activated to special summon Andal, your play will be immune to really popular cards like Book of Moon, Treacherous Trap Hole, Karma Cut, and pretty much anything else that would target your Gladiator Beast. So in that situation, I often target the back rows with Gyzarus, knowing that the majority of the cards that they're using probably can't be chained. So Unexpected Dai plus Rejection is one way to summon Gyzarus. Rescue Rabbit plus Rejection is another way to summon Gyzarus. You can also just use Unexpected Dai to summon Andal, and then normal summon or set Gyzarus to get out. Normal summon or set Bestiari to special summon Gyzarus as well. If you're going first, you're obviously not looking for a Gyzarus play, so you're hoping to summon Domitianus to lock down your opponent, which would be accomplished by either using Rejection with Unexpected Dai, and then normal summoning a Bestiari or an Andal, or using Rejection with Rabbit to summon 2 Andals and a Vespasius, so you can fusion summon Domitianus. Domitianus backed up by Rejection is really good as well, because Domitianus lets you choose your opponent's attack targets, negate a monster effect, the activation of a monster effect, and destroy that monster that's using it once per turn. And the Rejection prevents Domitianus from being targeted. So it creates a monster that's really hard to take down, especially in Duel Links. When all else fails, and you don't have your fusion summons really going well, Vespasius is usually your backup plan. I use 2 copies in my deck. I used to use 3, but you really never want more than 1 in your hand, and you really never want more than 1 in your deck, so I did cut it down to 2 after actually using a dream ticket to get my 3rd, because I really wanted to play 3, but I tried it out and slimmed it down. Vespasius is insane, because it's 2300 attack, level 7 monster, but you can just special summon it from your hand during the damage step when your Gladiator Beast battles a monster. And then while it's on the field and summoned by its own effect or the effect of a Gladiator Beast, all of your monsters gain 500 attack points. So it's actually a really awesome trick to use during the battle phase when your Andal gets attacked or your Bestiari gets attacked and your opponent's monster doesn't have more than 500 attack points more than your monster. A lot of times that 500 attack point boost is actually a total blowout where your opponent's monster gets destroyed, and then you swing back with your monster and your Vespasius, which is special summon from your hand, and just win the duel. I am using Yami Yugi as my character with the Destiny Draw skill. I've discussed the combos in the deck. It's those combos that sort of led me toward Destiny Draw. Because when you're under 2,000 life points, you can choose the card you want to draw from your deck instead of conducting your normal draw, which allows you to set up all of the combos I discussed. In addition to that, I am using Number 39 Utopia with Number C39 Utopia Ray. It's obviously very easy to summon rank 4 monsters in decks using Rescue Rabbit, because in a pinch, without rejection, as long as 2 Andals are in the deck, you can summon Rescue Rabbit, banish it to summon 2 Andals, and make a rank 4 monster. If you're under 1,000 life points, you can summon Number 39 Utopia, Ixie summon Utopia Ray over it, and Utopia Ray's effect effectively allows its attack points to increase to 4,000 while draining an opponent's monster of 3,000 attack points without even targeting that monster. So when you're under 1,000 life points and using Destiny Draw, if your opponent doesn't have any defensive back rows, you'll just win the game. And this comes up actually a lot against certain decks, including Blue Eyes decks. I'm also using Number 70, Malevolent Sin in the deck, arguably one of the best rank 4s in the game. I've been trying out Number 18, Heraldry Patriarch. I previously used 1 copy of Laquari and a Heraclinos in the extra deck, but I have since then took out the Laquari for Monster Reborn, which I think can help summon Gyzarus once Monster Reborn was added to the game. So I switched to Heraldry Patriarch, which is just good for the Harpy matchup. I'm definitely considering removing Heraldry Patriarch for a different rank 4. And then the rest of the extra deck is just the 2 copies of Gyzarus and the 1 Domitianus, which I talked about before. So the last card I have not yet discussed is the Cosmic Cyclone. I use 1 copy of Cosmic Cyclone because I'm using the Utopia and Utopia Ray package. Because if I Destiny Draw at some amount of life points greater than 1,000 and under 2,000, less than or equal to 2,000, I can Destiny Draw for the Cosmic Cyclone to get my life points under 1,000. And if the remaining cards in my hand can summon Utopia or Utopia Ray, Utopia and then Utopia Ray, I can try to attack for 4,000 with Utopia Ray. In addition, the Cosmic Cyclone, paying 1,000 life points, allows me to use Destiny Draw a little bit more easily to pull off the combos I talked about. So this deck plays really quickly. It wins without using too many card activations. And it's actually, in my experience and in my opinion, very strong for climbing the PvP ladder. Plus, none of these cards have been hit in recent time on the Duel Links Forbidden and Limited list. I don't know that anything in this deck is really at risk of being hit because it's not particularly popular. So it's definitely one of my top picks. I've used it in many tournaments. I especially like it in tournaments where you can jump from deck to deck, like the way they ran the old official tournaments that qualified for the Duel Links Invitational qualifier, where you could use Thunder Dragons one game, then Gladiator Beast next game, and just swap from deck to deck. I loved having this in rotation, and because of Gyzarus, it also just demolishes rogue decks like Weather Painters and other stuff that isn't even in the meta or not popular in the meta. So it is definitely a great deck to have in your arsenal. It's also not hard to build, with the exception of maybe the Rescue Rabbit, which has now been printed in a selection box. The other stuff is relatively easy to get, and you might even already have. So without further ado, I will show some of the replays and explain how this deck works. So in this replay, I got to go second. In Duel Links, you don't have any option of... you never get the choice of whether you go first or second. It's totally random, but you wish you can go second with this deck. This hand is phenomenal. It not only has the Rejection to protect my Gladiator Beast, but it also has Unexpected Dai to summon Gyzarus immediately. Then I'm able to follow up with Rescue Rabbit. Even with the extra 1,000 life points, I'm able to win on my first turn, which is the second turn of the duel. So opening hands really don't get much better than that. And that's a good display of the ceiling of what this deck can do. Now let's check out the second duel. So this hand is relatively poor. With double Andal, you're unable to use Rescue Rabbit at all. But an interesting advantage comes up here. I summon Andal, and my opponent actually can't Fiendish Chain it because it can only target effect monsters, and Andal's a normal monster, so he's forced to target his own monster. But this deck is this duel is won on the back of Gladiator Beast Vespasius, because Andal's able to attack. I can special summon Vespasius. Vespasius can attack. I can tag in Bestiari, building up a field even without drawing Unexpected Dai or being able to use Rescue Rabbit. The Treacherous Trap Hole in this instance allows me to force out his Needle Ceiling so he can clear the field, and then I'm able to just win with attacks from monsters. So even when this deck doesn't draw the combos that it's looking to create, all hope is not lost. This is another weak hand. Well, you could always normal summon Rescue Rabbit first turn and then make number 39 Utopia as a defensive play. I don't like doing that though, because now you've lost access to a lot of the cards in your deck, like Unexpected Dai and the use of additional copies of Rescue Rabbit. Ideally, you can even use multiple Rescue Rabbits in a single duel because you keep shuffling the Andals back into your deck. So this is a relatively weak hand, but my opponent foolishly brought me under 1,000 life points. I use the Destiny Draw skill just so I'm guaranteed not to draw a second Andal, so I can definitely use Rescue Rabbit. And with the Rescue Rabbit in my hand, I exceed summon number 39 Utopia. Since I'm under 1,000 life points, I immediately exceed summon Chaos Utopia. And with Chaos number 39's effect, Utopia Ray, I'm able to reduce one of his monsters' attack points by up to 3,000 and increase my own to 4,000 to just OTK my opponent with one attack. This opponent's name was Save Grapha, of which I am a big fan. This opponent was also using Grapha, of which I am also a big fan. My opening hand is really not good. The last thing you want to see is 2 copies of Andal in your opening hand. But again, all hope is not lost when you get it. I was fortunate enough to draw Gladiator Rejection with the Unexpected Dai already in my hand, and with exactly 1 Andal in my deck, I was able to use it to special summon Bestiari, make Gyzarus, and then just normal summon Andal to win the game. So you can easily draw out of a bad hand to win very quickly. I chose to show off some of the shorter duels because they have a lot of the combos and plays that are easier to explain. And a lot of the duels in Duel Links are short, especially when you're using this deck. So once again, this hand is not great, but it has potential. And the top deck of a Rejection would certainly break it wide open. My opponent summoned Starliege Lord Galaxion, which is fairly typical for Galaxy Lord deck. Galaxy Eyes deck. Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon joins it. I draw Bestiari, so I'm able to use Unexpected Dai, set Bestiari, and then fusion summon Gyzarus. And a lot of people, a lot of your opponents won't expect that you're playing Gladiator Beasts, and won't interrupt that when they have the chance because they don't even know what monster you just set. I make Utopia here just as a defensive play. When you don't have much going on, there are still some good rank 4 monsters to use. And with those at your disposal, you can get pretty far. Double Vespasius draw is never ideal, but I do have Rescue Rabbit and no Andals in my hand, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Opponent Synchro summons Fortune Lady every on the first turn, and I do draw Gladiator Rejection. So with the combo of Gladiator Rejection and Rescue Rabbit, I summon 2 Andals followed by Bestiari, and I make Gyzarus to destroy his 2 monsters and just attack for game. Simple combo, ends the duel so quickly, and it's great for grinding in the Kaiba Cup or PvP duels. So I get to go second in this duel. As I mentioned, second is usually preferred. This hand's great. Any hand with Rejection and a way to special summon from the deck is amazing. Unexpected Dai going second is usually even better than the Rabbit when it's coupled with the Gladiator Rejection, because anything that targets your monsters can't be used. Whereas if you have Rescue Rabbit, even with Rejection face up, they can do something like Karma Cut on the Rescue Rabbit itself. So my opponent just puts up a bunch of monsters, which is extremely unimpressive against my incredible hand. So I use Unexpected Dai to summon Andal with Rejection face up. Rejection's effect summons Bestiari. I fuse the 2 monsters together for Gyzarus. Normal summon Rescue Rabbit. Banish the Rabbit to summon 2 copies of Andal. And then Xyz summon number 70, Malevolent Sin. Sin's effect can clear the opponent's last remaining monster, and then direct attacks from both monsters very quickly end the duel. The best hands tend to have Gladiator Rejection in them. Bear in mind, you're drawing a 4-card opening hand in Duel Links. Plus, if you're second, you get a second card, bringing you to 5 cards, which is a quarter of your deck, with a deck minimum of 20 cards. I play a little over 20 cards in my deck. I'm okay doing that in Duel Links because you really don't want to draw 2 Andals, because that's really the worst that can happen. So you saw in that duel, once again, on the back of Gladiator Beast, Gladiator Rejection, I was able to just Gyzarus him and win. So here's the final replay, which is a duel from today. This is another duel from the recent Kaiba Cup, and it's against none other than the Seto Kaiba himself. So this time, I am forced to go first, and it looks like my opponent's playing a Blue Eyes deck, but I have a really good hand. I have the Rejection and Rescue Rabbit, which going first is probably the best opening you can get, because you can activate Rejection, summon the Rabbit, use Rabbit's effect, summon 2 Andals, and then special summon Vespasius to summon Domitianus, which can't be targeted and can negate a monster effect. My opponent tries to use Sage with Eyes of Blue after summoning Whitestone of Ancients in order to trade his Whitestone of Ancients for Blue Eyes, but I just use Domitianus' effect to negate the activation of the Sage with Eyes of Blue's effect. And he ends his turn with just the Whitestone of Ancients on the field. On my next turn, I'm able to just summon a monster and win. So many times summoning Domitianus on their first turn will actually just lock up the duel. I don't think I have any matches against Harpies saved. Just a quick note, because that is a pretty popular deck. This deck's actually really strong against Harpies, and it's one of the reasons I use this deck in tournaments. Once you have Gladiator Rejection on the field, your opponent is pretty much helpless to stop Gyzarus, because Cyber / Harpy Lady can't target your Gladiator Beasts, so they can't disrupt a Gyzarus play, and can't even return the Gyzarus to your hand if you're summoning it in the main phase, even if they have spells and traps to activate. Against Magnet Warriors, which are also pretty popular right now, the turn 1 Domitianus summon is really good. And even summoning it late in the duel can also be great at just preventing the big plays from happening and just creating a monster that your opponent simply can't handle, especially when it can't be targeted by, because of Gladiator Rejection. So this is the deck I used to get to Stage 2 of the Kaiba Cup this past week, and in many Kaiba Cups before. I've gotten to King of Games many times with this deck. If you're a big fan of Gladiator Beasts, I definitely recommend it. Feel free to make your own tweaks. I've played this build a lot. I really like the thin lineup of just the deck being revolving around Andal and using Bestiari and Vespasius as the support to summon Gyzarus and Domitianus. But you can experiment with it how you like. Give the deck a shot, and you might like it more than you expect.